Welcome to Overseasoned.
It's only going to take one take.
I actually kicked him out of the restaurant.
Why?
Gotta bitch to someone.
Gotta bitch to somebody, and I'm good to bitch to.
I thought you were from Spain.
Yes, I am.
Oh.
Sí soy.
Gotcha.
Soy chorizo.
Oh, no.
You've gone into Martha Stewart land.
It's good. It's just not live.
Whatever.
Okay.
It's like a scene from Cocoon. Like the sun goes down.
You don't want to get blacklisted.
You know what, Mr. President? Is this what you want? Que profesional. This is nice.
It's a great studio.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Overseasoned podcast. We are recording from Buenos Aires at the Pinnacle Group Vodcast Studio. I can get used to this, Tony.
I can tell you.
I can get used to this. This is nice.
Very nice.
Man. Well, we've been having, honestly, an excellent time here. Buenos Aires, the first time I came here, I really liked it. I was lucky enough to come here about a year and a half ago.
With the food.
I wasn't impressed with the food, but let me tell you, I am taking a 180. I am really enjoying this experience.
You even packed your own salt.
Wow.
Worried about it?
I was definitely worried about it. But you know what? Our friend Martin Di Cuzzo from Magna Montes Wines, first off, Ronnie, thanks for getting us in touch with that guy. He's the man. I am slowly falling in love with this guy. He's like
showing us around.
Really. Showing us around. I mean, he knows the entire city. He's got a pulse on the food, on the people. And I mean,
it's important to have a guide. It helps.
Right? It changes everything.
Right. So give places a second chance because.
Well, I mean, look,
know.
I am incredibly impressed with Buenos Aires, and you know, we spend a lot of time in South America. We're lucky enough to have our office in Bogota, and you know, there's incredible flavors to be had throughout the entire continent. But I've been just really loving this Italian influence that we're feeling here in Buenos Aires. Like earlier today, we did a really cool charcuterie recording.
Yeah, I missed that one, unfortunately.
But you know what, man?
What kind of things did you see?
So first off, the guy, he goes by Caesar Wilson, but he goes by Willie. Man, first off, he's a technician. So he grew up in the business of refrigeration, in processing of different meats, and you know, so his family's been like he's a third generation of essentially like trying to ensure the cleanest and most proficient way of slaughtering animals and having them, and then making sure the right refrigeration's in place. And he said that of the countries that he's had the chance to see processes and standards for, that Argentina's really tight.
Cool.
It's one of the things they really, that the government involvement and that the, you know, the standards are super high. And
for a country that eats this much beef,
right,
it's got to be.
It makes a lot of sense,
yeah.
Right? And so his family's been involved in all kinds of different facets of the meat fabrication, let's say. And he said he had to take his mind from, you know, trying to make the most yield and the most, you know, it was never necessarily about quality. It was about process and about standardization. Which makes a lot of sense.
Which makes the quality too, right?
That's true.
Concentrate on the little steps and the quality improves.
True.
By default.
And but then he said, you know, he's really had to evolve his thinking because the goal at this place we went to today, Corte Charcuteria, is all about ensuring that there's an artisanal and quality-focused, you know, delivery of all different kinds of salumis and sausages and meats and mortadella. They make everything in-house.
Wow.
Some are cured, some are fermented.
Did you taste anything while you were there?
Oh, my God, dude.
Did you?
Yeah.
What did you go for?
Dude, so he had this incredible duroc that had the fat cap on. It was called lonza. Do you ever have this or hear of this?
Tell me more.
So it was the loin, the lomo part of the pig, salt cured, and then I think he said they hit it with fennel and a couple other things. But he said the biggest difference that you'll notice in the stuff that he makes and in the stuff that the best artisanal charcuterie people will make. He's like, I've had this since I opened. So they made this lonza, which was essentially like a lomo, but not with pimentón or paprika, just with like fennel and some salt.
Different seasoning. Okay.
Yeah. So it was very Italian, right? Like not super garlicky. It was a little more like soft and reserved in flavor. But it had this incredible fat on the top, so they keep the skin on it.
The skin on it.
Yes, which was really cool. Let me see if I can find you a picture. But he's like,
So it's like lardo.
yes,
And
yes,
lomo.
so
Had a
fucking
baby.
cool,
Yeah.
so cool. And what he was telling me was, since they've opened the shop 2 years ago, and he's like, we're just now starting to work through inventory of items, of things that we made when we first opened the shop.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? So we tried, for example,
Well, how long are we talking about? How long?
2 years.
Wow.
So we tried a cecina today, which is like essentially like a brisket with the fat cut off of the outside, and that one's salt cured. It's not fermented. It's not any. And he said, I made that a month before we opened.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And he's like, that's a big difference between commercial or, even like.
But they're starting to have to. So they're about 2 years ahead on
yes.
inventory.
How wild is that?
That's kind of crazy.
So it was really, really cool. It was a great experience. But what I love, like, check out some of this stuff. Like, they have, that is
Beautiful.
That's pig tongues with pistachios that are studded throughout it.
Wow.
And then I think he said they use the ears and the guanciale to wrap it.
That's amazing.
Dude, it was fucking awesome.
I'm sorry I missed it.
Listen, man, honestly, this experience has got me really into Argentina.
Okay.
Like, this is fucking...
Yeah. It's important. So it's important to have a guide to give places a second chance.
It's important to give places a second chance. And look, I'm going to make a confession.
Oh.
My original thought on Argentina and its food scene, and I'm not saying this in some sort of super negative way, but in more just like where in the lexicon of the food universe it was landing for me, it reminded me of a stroll through South Philly. There's like a lot of meat sandwiches, right? A lot of cutlets and chicken parmy kind of things.
That's what the Italian. It makes you feel comfortable, like that's the Italian influence you're talking about.
Yes, there's lots of steak, but it just felt like if Florence, my original experience, it felt like Florence, because there's like arugula salads everywhere. There's a lot. And
you found it growing.
Oh, dude, I can't wait to talk about that. But it just felt like if you went to like any normal South Philly mom and pop, it's just like pastas and steaks and chops and a random Parmigiana, right? But it didn't feel anything super special. It just felt like, all right, cool, let's go get a little milanesa and then we're good and like an arugula salad. That's fine, right? But I was always shocked by how little salt I was getting in a lot of the foods. And I was also, it felt like everything was made for just like big portions, average consumer. Like it's not about quality. It just felt like it's about just good, hearty food without necessarily having too much of a point of view.
Right.
My perspective has completely changed.
That's fantastic. Good.
Yes.
Because I was here about 15 years ago, and I didn't have that experience.
Okay.
It was so long ago I don't quite remember where I went and all that stuff, but I remember having a very enjoyable time here.
Yeah.
Food-wise.
Okay, got it. So I have to commend you, Tony. You fucking rocked last night.
Ooh, that was
So last night, the overseasoned crew, we invited some friends over for dinner. We did a blind tasting. And Tony rocked out on the kitchen.
It's always interesting cooking in a brand new place from scratch. We wanted to
crushed.
try a lot of things. We bought a lot of things. There was a lot going on the grill, different, you know.
Dude, and let's talk about that parrilla that they have set up at the Airbnb that we're staying in.
I think that's like, it must be an Argentinian thing. They carved out the space in the middle of their house to be outside so that they could have a parrilla.
How sick was that?
Pretty awesome.
And what's so cool about this Airbnb, so it's almost like they designed the space so that the parrilla would be the center of the house.
Right.
It was really, really cool.
It is really cool.
And
I love that. It's all seasons grilling in a way, right? Because you're
beautiful.
It's just like it's like a little grill cubby.
Yeah.
In the middle of the house.
Dude, yeah, and it was essentially like if you had a balcony or a little central terrace, but it's not anything about. It's like the whole center and the focus of it is how can we make this grilling experience as
that's kind of all there was there, right? There was a grill and a sink. Right?
And it was a pretty big size, right?
It was about 3 feet.
Dude, it was. Yeah. And then you were saying that it had this really cool, like.
Yeah, I didn't quite figure that out until the end because I was like trying to get it going. Because one of the things we'll talk about is how difficult it is when you don't have your stuff, right?
Oh my
You're kind of scrambling
yes.
But it had this big, like a drawer, like a door.
It was like a box.
That pulled down.
It was like a dumbwaiter box cover almost.
Yeah, well, the whole thing, and it just had a what's the word? Like a cover that pulled down, and I thought that was just for like storage, right? Just pull it down to make it out
like
of the way.
when you're done.
And it very may well have been, but I was just kind of messing around with it, and I pulled it down, and then the air drawing into it just like.
It was like going up of a hood, right? And
well, it was like concentrated the way that the air was flowing into it was the way you controlled the oxygen in the fire.
But it's counterintuitive that as you close it, it seemed to create almost like a vacuum.
Yeah, it kind of creates,
right?
The fire is drawing the air in, and you pull it down, and it's almost like a bellows. Right,
My
so it's
gosh,
like just
dude.
pulling the air in, and you could hear it go.
How cool, dude!
Yeah, so I wish I would have figured that out a little bit earlier, but it all worked out. Because we were trying to get the fire going with 3 half bags of charcoal, and
so let's start
couldn't
there.
Couldn't find any. We had like one piece of paper we were trying to light it with, and I found a candle, and I stuck a candle in the fire to try to get that going, and eventually we found a box that worked perfectly because we tore it up, rolled it into a little
cardboard box
of wine case.
Yeah.
And put that under there and got it going.
So yesterday, we've been recording in Buenos Aires for the viewers out there and listeners out there. We also have a TV show called Overseasoned TV. It's on YouTube. And we've been doing everything we can to kind of meet cool restaurant tours and chefs and owners. And right now, of course, as we mentioned, we're in Buenos Aires. And we've had a chance to meet a couple really cool people that are a big part of this new evolving food scene.
Yeah, it was really interesting to hear. Well, we don't need. They can watch the show if they want to hear all about that.
Yeah, you guys can watch the show if you want.
But it was really interesting to hear how new a lot of this eating fish, for example, being able to have a seafood restaurant
with fresh seafood,
fresh seafood that people appreciated. It wasn't just meat centric.
Well, you know what's so funny is we go to lunch yesterday, and it's the things that we take for granted, and it's the things that make a place special, which are so unique and interesting. So, I think we've become very. I don't know. I don't want to say that the word is spoiled. I don't know if the word is jaded. I don't know if the word is. I don't know. I don't know what the word is, right? But you can almost, in most sit-down restaurants in the United States these days, I'd say a solid every other, you can get oysters. Oysters have become a very accessible thing for us.
Sure.
And it's interesting. We sit down yesterday with a couple of our friends from Argentina, and their first reaction to seeing oysters on the menu, especially now that it's springtime here and it's starting to get warmer, and they're like, "Oh, they got oysters?" And I'm like, "What's the big deal? They got oysters." And they're like, "You don't understand. For us to see oysters on a menu in Argentina is really special."
Huh.
And I'm like, "Okay, so you want..." They're like, "We have to get oysters." I'm like, "Okay, let's get some oysters." And we're at this badass restaurant, really cool spot, great chef. And he did his own, I guess, homage to the mignonette, right? With
Slightly spiced.
A little bit spiced. It was more like It reminded me of like a either Thai or Vietnamese style kind of fish sauce.
Sure. Yeah, it did
right.
taste like that, yeah.
Cilantro, and it was fantastic. But he was saying that he was working with an oyster guy that brought Japanese oyster seedlings, but was raising them in.
It did have like a Kumamoto look to the shell.
Yes.
But they were very long. They were like 3 inches long.
Imagine if a Kumamoto and a Blue Point,
Right?
right?
Yeah.
By look, had a baby. The rest, you're going to have to watch the show. We're not going to give you any more secrets.
So we invited him over to
He
eat.
came over. We had,
You did a blind tasting. There was
Yes.
some wine geek stuff happening, hardcore.
yeah, there
X
was.
sat down with a bunch of wines. They were testing you.
They were testing me, yes.
And he was like, oh, this will be like 20 minutes. I'm like, there ain't no way these guys
Yeah.
are going to sit around and trade their baseball cards
Yeah.
for 15 minutes.
Yeah, we certainly.
So that's when I had said, all right, somebody's got to get me some more charcoal because these guys are going to be waxing poetically about these wines.
We did wax, and it was poetic.
It was like half an hour for the first wine. I'm like,
No,
my
I'm
lord,
sorry,
let's
dude.
put some more. It all worked out.
It all worked out. It did all work out.
But, you know, I was prepared.
So we had a nice crew yesterday. We had, of course, our guys that were involved that have been involved in helping us get all of our great footage.
Yep.
So we had Rigo, we had Johan. We also had one of Johan's friends. I forgot his name. He was a super nice guy, but he's in the film
Advertising.
world. Oh, he's in advertising down here. And then we also had a couple wine guys and a chef.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we wanted to punish ourselves. So the idea was, let's cook all this stuff for these guys instead of, you know what I mean? So I feel like walking into the belly of the beast as an outsider trying to, deliver a super high quality meal and a fun experience to the people that are usually the ones putting the show on.
Cooking their food, right?
Cooking their food.
We're like doing
Yes.
a parrilla, right?
Yes.
So there was a lot of.
It was
nerve-wracking a
I
little
can
bit.
only imagine.
Yeah.
You crushed, Tony.
Well, there was some help. Everybody was kind of helping out and telling me how to cook guts.
Yeah.
I never would have pulled that one off without a little bit of.
It was actually delicious.
I was shocked.
Me too.
I was super ready to like take a nibble and put the rest in my napkin.
Yeah. This is the one time you want a dog in your dining room. is
So let's go through what we cooked. We cooked.
Okay,
What,
so-
what are the guts called?
So we had the guts are called chinchulines.
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 Ah, they were like two different shapes, but they weren't.
Let me just start by saying when they pulled the chinchulines, which essentially are the intestines, right?
Yeah,
Literally.
But it's not like casing. I thought it'd be more like a casing, like for a sausage.
Okay.
It was very like I don't know, looked like a piece
More
of
like a
coral or something.
Oh, right. Yeah. It looked, honestly, if you just lifted it up and showed the organ itself, it kind of was on the way to me looking like an octopus.
Sure. Yeah, it did.
It was
Yeah.
like meaty and had like some crevices and things, and
Things.
it didn't quite scream eat me. It kind of screamed,
Throw me
oh
back.
shit.
Throw me back in the ocean.
Into the ocean.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we cooked those, and those had to go on first, and you just cooked the hell out of them. So
Yeah.
it was like an hour,
Yeah.
at least,
Yeah.
with just a little bit of garlic, parsley,
Yes.
salt.
And interesting fact, they call anything that has a lot of garlic and parsley a la Provenza.
Okay, I didn't catch that, but I heard that kind of word flowing around. I'm like,
Provenza.
Right.
So it's like their Provençal or Provençal
Like
style,
country
but
style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was cool. I was like, oh, because in the Basque Country they call that a la Donostiarra, when you put parsley and garlic on something, like olives. A la Donostiarra is when you put parsley and garlic. Just funny how everybody's got their version
Sure.
of it. It's cool.
So we did those. Those went on first, and that was good because they just like sat over a medium-low fire.
And the idea for those was to do a slow caramelized cook, or how did that?
Yeah.
For the chinchulines, what's
You cook them. You just cook them,
Right.
but low so that they really cook completely, and they shrunk up. They lost I want to say, 70% of their volume.
interesting? Interesting.
So they were like, we just wanted to taste a little bit. That usually you put them on first because they take up so much space on the grill, and then they shrink up so much. So if you want to cook guts, get a lot
If you
and start
wanna
early.
cook guts, get a lot. Yeah, that's great. It's a great way to.
And the grill even was cool because it wasn't the V-shaped Argentinian grill. It didn't like move or anything
Right,
like that.
right, okay.
But it had one side of the, what are they called? The bars
grates.
or slats, the grates, was skinnier. So you could cook it without things falling through, which was pretty awesome. I'd never seen that before.
And this was built. So what Tony's
it was
describing.
like almost built specifically for chinchulines in
No
a way because it was
shit.
really fine grills on one side,
Oh, I
like a
see.
third of it, and
Yeah.
then bigger space
Yeah.
between the grill on the other side.
I really liked how the grill. So if you guys can imagine it, the grill was almost like a floating steel, like a floating
It was like a platform.
steel
Yeah.
platform. Right, exactly. And then on the far right of it, it had like a little bit higher of an area so you can build your coals and stuff.
Yeah, you'd usually start wood or big chunks of charcoal, which I was just kind of like all beat up was another one of the things. So we didn't have
Yeah.
big chunks of charcoal, but you could start those on there. Then as they burn, as they get to where you need them to be for cooking, they fall through the slats. So you kind of like rough it up.
Right.
And you just keep moving it over. So you can keep feeding, when you're cooking for a larger group or for a longer,
Right.
coursing, longer time. You can just keep feeding fresh coals on top and just keep having them fall down.
And you're moving them along
Right.
underneath the grates. Right.
Well, they fall down
Yeah.
on the right-hand side, and then you just kind of move them over where you need them to.
Yeah.
So you can kind of keep the fire going at a consistent temperature without having, okay, you start your grill, then your coals are ready in 35 whatever minutes, and
Yep.
you cook, then it's done. Right? So you can keep feeding it. Because you don't want to throw fresh coals on top of
Interesting.
dying coals when you're still cooking.
Right.
You need to have them like
Because they
a
need
nice
to cook
red.
out a little bit, right?
Yeah, they need to
Yeah.
not be on fire and to be like the right temperature.
So we got the chinchulines. We got
Sweetbreads.
two different kinds. Mollejas. they call
Mollejas.
it. So they're spelled mollejas, which is what you would say in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
But here, these cute motherfuckers, everything with a double L, and usually with a Y too, gets the je.
It's the same in Bogota.
Not all though, not all. Mollejas. We should do a little test of some things. Like they would never say mayonesa. They would say mayonesa.
But is that double L?
No, it's Y.
Okay, so the Y they
so
also
they take a
pronounce
little
like a je.
liberty with the zhuz here.
Got it.
And I
A little
like the
zhuzh.
zhuz.
Yeah.
They zhuzh everything
It sounds
up.
a little Portuguesey to me in a
It
way.
does, yeah. So we had the mollejas, but the cool thing about the mollejas, which are sweetbreads.
Yes.
Right? They have two different kinds of sweetbreads that they do here. One is the classic from the thymus gland.
Right. Around the neck.
And then they have another one, which we have to get into.
He said it was around the heart.
Yeah,
right?
they were saying that it's like part of a certain something that holds up a part of the heart
I've
or
seen
something.
the different kinds in the States. I just never really thought there was I thought they were from the same area of the cow. I'm going to have to look that one up, like where this other part.
Okay. They were really good.
They were great. So we cooked those again completely.
Low and slow, right?
Low and slow until they got a little bit crispy on the outside. Then the chef Max said they cut them. So I cut them like on a
Slice them down on
cut them just so they're still kind of wide, like
And
on a
like maybe
little
like a
bit of an
half
angle.
inch or
Yeah, about inch and a half.
Okay,
And then
yeah.
grilled them again so they
Right.
get nice and crispy on that side. Finished it with a little bit of parsley and lemon.
parsley and lemon. Dude, they were fucking.
We should have got more of those.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, I did not expect to like those as much as I did. And, obviously these people know what they're doing. These guys are professionals. And beyond that, the Argentinians are incredibly sweet and proud about their foods. And it's like.
And specific
Yes.
about how it should be done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was a moment in time where I saw Max, you and Max, and for Chef Tony, you're incredibly open to feedback.
Well, we're here
criticism.
to experience the way they do things.
But can you imagine if one of our American chef friends was being told how to cut skirt steak
Yeah.
after,
Yeah.
having been in kitchens from 3 Michelin star
Right.
to whatever? I mean, I could only imagine what a couple of my friends would have been like, bro,
Somebody's getting cut.
you don't fucking need to tell me how to fucking cut a skirt steak,
Right.
motherfucker. But anyway.
He was also telling me how to, very fast. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
enjoy yourself. Have some wine.
well, and
No, but I appreciated it. I was there to learn how, how they
their
do
style,
stuff. Right? So
their style.
I don't know. You don't know how they like their meat. You don't know what's regular, right?
But
Because
that-
they don't like medium rare here
necessarily,
right?
Yep.
That's not the standard.
The standard is, what I'm hearing is more, so there's the different cooking temperatures, and so a punto, right, is like chef's place, right? A punto, right? So, but Martin told me, and I've noticed.
A punto is what?
A punto, like to the point, of the steak's perfection, right? So
Which
a punto is
France is a point. It's the same. It's probably spelled the same. That's like medium rare. In
understood.
France.
Okay.
To a point, right? That's what same thing.
But here's the interesting thing is a punto. It just depends on the cut of beef.
Oh, it could be different.
Yes,
yeah, that kind of makes sense. No, I guess it doesn't.
A punto for example, a ribeye
for the specific
might
cut,
be
right?
cut,
like a brisket.
Yes. Right. Or a hanger might be the shh.
Right.
But then if you're doing, for example, like a fattier cut, I've heard a lot of the guys say, well, if you're doing a fattier cut, then you want it to melt down. So a punto for that is more
different.
cooked.
Sure.
So then there's also,
but then you have to know, right?
That's what I'm saying, right? And so a punto for a lot of the cuts here, in terms of the Argentine expectation, is like medium plus.
Yeah.
Right? Like they like a cooked down piece of meat that develops the caramelization.
Do you think that has something to do with the kind of the grass-fed?
It might be
nature, right?
It might. I've also noticed that there's a lot of interesting techniques in terms of taking big ass chops or big ass cuts and having them not on the fire searing, but in and around the fire where they render the fat on the outside, or where they're looking for textures that aren't just char.
Sure. You also, when you're cooking over live fire, you don't want the flare-ups and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So we'll get to that because we cooked skirt steak.
Yeah, so we made some entraña, which is the skirt steak here.
And then we also had an 80-day aged and a 40-day aged porterhouse. How thick would you say those things were?
I'd say that they were at least, they were on their way to 2 inches, if not 2 inches.
Oh, they were bigger.
You think they were bigger than 2 inches?
Definitely.
Yeah. They were
like 3 and close to 4. Like that was, there was like solid 3 inches, maybe 3.5.
They were fucking delicious.
See, I would have cooked mine a little bit longer. But I wanted to really taste the age on it.
Yeah.
Right? So I was cool with it, right? It was still delicious, but I probably would have left them on the grill till they got to like a solid mid-rare. They were blue.
They were blue. Yeah, they were black and blue. Not black and blue. They were just blue.
They were blue.
But nice char. Nice char without being burnt.
Right. They were still delicious, but I wouldn't eat a lot of that. It was good for us to like taste and like really get the experience of the meat and the flavor of the meat, but I probably would have cooked it more. But
yeah,
I'm just going to defer into what
I'm a warm red, not a cool red steak
we
enjoyer.
pulled them out way in advance.
Yes, that's true.
And Chef Max was explaining to me how to cook them, like cook them on the bone first. So we had them rest so that, because that part next to the bone can just stay like solid raw.
Right.
Unless you bring some heat up there through the bone into that part.
Yes.
So we cooked them on that part first.
Got it.
Just let them hang out there, and they're starting to render a little bit and drip down and get that. So, and that's kind of cool too, because you kind of like, I don't know when you guys are going to be done drinking your wine.
Our wine bullshit.
So there was a little bit of that going on too. As the coals were done, you got to kind of play with things a lot when you're doing a dinner party with people who don't understand timing.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah.
But it was fine.
Yeah.
And then you cook them on the fat side.
Oh. Right. So you go bone side first, and then you go fat side.
So it renders out a little bit and gets a little crispy.
And you weren't necessarily using a super high heat for either of that.
No. The fats, again, you got to play. You don't want it flaring up and the fat dripping. So you got to kind of. What's great about having such a big grill and moving coals around is you can really play with that. You could move coals under for a few minutes, then just move them away.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that.
And just kind of manage it
that
way.
So you can manage the grill or a parrilla, in this case, not just by making a hot portion of the grill grates, having your hot area, your medium area, and your cool area, but you can actually very easily adjust these temperatures based on moving coals without moving your proteins.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It gives you a lot of flexibility.
That's fucking rad.
Okay.
I was really enjoying I didn't get to fuck around and play with it, and neither should I, because I'm a front of the house fucker, and I should
Everybody
stay in
has
my
an
lane.
opinion,
I was really enjoying just watching the action happen.
Yeah.
And
I remember I was like running back and forth with the kitchen, getting things set up, and you're in the living room playing on your phone, and I'm like, right back
to where we
belong.
Yeah, that's totally right. Yeah. Except this
He's
time.
going to go and like take a shower and get dressed nice and roll around looking for something to eat. Where's my wine? As I'm rocketing back and forth between trying to find charcoal, trying to find something to light the fire with, trying to. What else? What else were we missing? The things you wish you had. Thankfully, I brought a set of knives. So which I will always travel with. A beautiful set of fader knives. So that was nice, and we gifted one to the chef, which
he loved it, dude.
Yeah, it was awesome. But essential if you're doing that to have a set of knives.
Yes.
I don't even know if there were knives in this Airbnb.
I don't think there were. They had the
sugar,
little steak knives.
some salt.
I can't even believe they had salt.
I was surprised too.
Yeah.
The person before us probably left it there.
Yeah.
So you got to get everything. Like we made a chimichurri, which we didn't get to yet.
Can't wait to talk about that.
Let's talk about it now. So
fuck it. Yeah. So let's start from the top though.
Okay.
I'm a huge lover of chimichurri.
Yes.
Personally, I think
we wanted to start a restaurant called Tina.
Yes, we did
years ago.
Thank God we did.
It was all surrounding this chimichurri.
We love chimichurri, and chimichurri for us has always been that one sauce that, when made, can accompany bread, can accompany sandwiches, can literally be a stand-in.
Could be a salad dressing. Could be a meat sauce. Could be
Now, but so
tomatoes, everything. You just put it on everything.
So what for you epitomizes the best type of chimichurri and its flavors? Like when you make it, what are you looking for?
If I had to boil it down, it's garlic.
Yes.
Vinegar.
Yes.
And herbs. That's it.
That's
essentially that's it.
Okay. And for me, I'm looking for beautiful balance between the vinegar and the olive oil, of course. I'm looking for freshness, like you mentioned, from the herbs, like so. And I love that savoriness that you get from the oregano, but the parsley is like a vehicle for texture.
Sure.
But we made a huge discovery yesterday. What we made, according to our Argentinian friends, is not.
I knew we were going to get a little bit of flack.
We were going to get some pushback, and I was looking forward to the pushback because so
if we wouldn't have added onion, so we added.
Yes.
Let's start from what we did.
Okay, cool.
So you chop a bunch of garlic, chop a bunch of onions.
Yes.
Really finely, mince them. I would say.
Yes.
I would usually do that in like a Roboku.
Okay.
Because a food processor.
Yes.
Because I was saying that the other day at a dinner party, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like,
Oh.
Roboku, the Roboku. I need the Roboku. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, food processor.
Got it. You fucking normies.
I know. I will pulse an onion in there.
By the way, if you ever said food processor to me, I'm like, what are you talking about? But if you say Roboco, I'm like, oh,
yeah, right.
I know what you're talking about.
So I like to pulse the onion and the garlic together, almost until it's almost like it holds up everything else. Garlic is, of course, an essential flavor, but the onion for me is just something to bulk it up a little bit.
Okay.
You know, and also just it's almost like the water from
Now,
the onion is
when-
what you want more than the onion itself.
Interesting. So, but when you pulse on the Roboku your onion, does it almost turn into like a mashed onion instead of like
that's a good way to put it.
Okay, got
like
it.
a mashed onion, because you want to get that liquid out of the onion.
Okay, got it.
You know, and then it still just has some substance in there to like hold up everything else, right?
Understand.
To like keep it all in suspension in a way.
Okay.
And then salt that,
Okay.
and we put some jalapeno in it yesterday, which was a nice touch.
Without seeds.
Without seeds,
Yes.
because they're a little touchy on their heat here too.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. They.
Not a hot sauce crowd, but they like a little bit. They like a little, like a nice
It's
balanced
exotic
heat
for them.
Yeah.
Although the Italian influence, they're more into pepperoncino, like the chili flake,
Sure.
than they are into actual like
Tabasco sauce.
yes, or peppers or
Right.
smoke and stuff like that.
So we diced some jalapeno too. So we have onion, garlic, jalapeno, a little bit.
Yep.
Just barely cover that with distilled white vinegar.
Yes.
I was very happy to hear that Chef Max
Is the same.
the same exact way.
Likes the yeah.
So distilled white vinegar, because it's not don't want white wine vinegar, don't want champagne vinegar, don't want
Right.
like distilled white, like the things you clean the floor with. That's the vinegar you want.
Right.
right?
Right. Which honestly, I at home will flip between that and red wine vinegar, personally, to make chimichurri. But
I would still. There's still a place for like that gutter red wine
Oh, hell
vinegar.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
basically
right.
just red, white
Regina
distilled
or
vinegar.
whatever that shit is. It's so good.
I still like that sometimes, right?
with the
for certain
3 holes
things.
on the top?
Yeah, exactly. Rip
love
that
that.
little thing off the top and just
Yeah,
douse
pour
it.
it.
So
Yeah.
that to me is the same.
It is the
thing,
same. Because
right?
essentially they probably just take the distilled vinegar and add like
Red
2 drops
food
of
color
cranberry
number
juice.
5 to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have that, and you want to do that early, right? So
Okay.
it was part of our experience of like, I think we got to the house at 6 with all our groceries.
Right.
Prepping
Right.
for people to show up at 7, but
Right.
nobody ate until 10, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, right.
So you'd want to set that up ahead of time.
Okay.
Early in the day. You can get that going. Chef Max said he even like leaves it on top of the refrigerator and just works out of it. He likes it to get a little fermented.
Interesting.
So
Yes.
he'll just keep adding to it like a mother sauce and just pull out what he wants.
From the pickled onions or from his chimichurri?
The onions.
From the
That's
onions.
the base.
That's right.
That's the base. There's no,
Right.
and we just put, okay, so where are we? We're onions, garlic, jalapeno or some kind of chili. I put some chili flakes in there also.
Yep. Some pepperoncino.
And then dried oregano because I like it to taste like a hoagie.
Yeah, me too.
Right? I like that.
Fuck
Smells
yeah.
like a sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Just let that sit. So the onion, the vinegar and the onions like do their thing.
And they kind of
pull out.
pickle. It almost pickles the onion too.
Yeah,
in a little
anything
way.
you add vinegar to pickles it.
Yeah.
But it's really about pulling the flavors out and just getting that all together.
Perfect.
It's like macerating, not marinating.
Yes.
You know, you're
Yes.
pulling it
Oh.
out. But you just want to, don't cover it with vinegar because the moisture is going to come out of the onion. So you don't want it to be too watery either. So
Okay.
just enough to like coat
Just
everything
barely,
nicely,
yeah.
right? Because you can always add more, but you
That's
don't want
true.
to. You don't
That's
want
true.
that. Like when you were asking me, should we put all of this in the herbs? Well, let's
Yeah.
take a step back.
Yeah.
So you have that base,
Yeah.
then chopped parsley, plenty of it.
Lots of chopped parsley because that's the major bulk of the ingredient.
Sure.
Right.
Parsley, oregano, and cilantro, chopped finely. And I'll do that in the robocut too, just to
Okay.
get a nice fine mix.
And if we're going with our percentages, I would say that we used 4 times the parsley to 4 to 1 parsley to cilantro, and then maybe a half of the, like from cilantro to oregano, a half of that.
Sure.
So let's say 8 parts to 2 parts to 1 part.
I think there's a very wide range of acceptability there.
Sure,
Right?
sure.
If we didn't have cilantro, I wouldn't cry about it. If we, I think parsley is the base, and then whatever
Yes.
else you have, you can feel free to put that in there.
Okay.
Cinch myself. I think that was from my girl at home, actually.
So we got
I
all of our
had the
herbs.
gas going, and the thing wasn't lighting, and I threw a
Oh,
match
you
in.
tossed it? Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't ready for that one, but I will be next time. So we have parsley, cilantro, oregano, fresh,
Yes.
off to the side, olive oil.
Yes.
You can put the olive oil in that, but leave it separate because as soon as you add the fresh herbs to the vinegar, it's going to start to turn brown. So you just
Right.
that's why you do it. You have the 2 separate things, and you just add what you need to mix it up right before the dinner,
Right.
right? And then salt.
So yeah, your pickled onions and
You keep wanting to say pickled.
sorry, all right. Well,
that's-
your macerated
Sure.
onion
Yeah.
pulp
Uh-huh.
mixture.
Yep.
Right, and then you also have your chopped herbs,
Which is
on the
good
other
all by
side.
itself. Like
It
if
is
you
good,
want to like
yeah.
just put that on a sandwich or something, you're good to go.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Or the meat or whatever. I think that's the essential part of it.
So let's say 20 minutes before we're about to eat, we grab a bunch
And don't
of
be
these
shy.
herbs.
Like the oregano, like use it.
Yeah.
Use a lot. It's not like these little bits. Like
No,
you can
right.
be.
Yeah. We grab all of these herbs, we add them to the onion mixture, and then once that's together, we're hitting it with a bunch of really good olive oil. We use
Yeah.
that Zuccardi olive oil that they love down here in Argentina,
Oh, also
which is
we
great.
did all of our shopping at an Asian market, which was interesting.
Yeah, because we're
We
right
found
back
it all.
at it. We're right back at it. Again, we're in Philly again.
Yeah.
Go to the Asian market, you know what I mean? And we're,
So everyone liked it. That was good.
well,
No, you didn't
look,
like it. Who didn't like it?
I fucking loved it. Okay, because look, the chimichurri that we've had here in Argentina, of course it's good, right?
It's good.
It's good.
Well,
but
everyone. It's
so, but here's
fluctuates,
the thing.
right? There's-
They don't do the step of the garlic, of the onion, and the garlic in the vinegar.
They don't
here.
do onion.
They don't do onion at all. So when we were presenting this dish or the sauce, their reaction is like, well, that's not chimichurri. And I'm like, well, explain. And they're like, there's no fucking onion in chimichurri.
Right.
And I'm like, well, there's onion in this chimichurri. And they're like, no, it's not chimichurri.
Right.
Because down here they have two sauces. You just touched on it.
Criolla.
They have criolla, which is essentially chopped onion with some pepper or some tomato. It's kind of like their version of an escabeche pico de gallo.
They would eat that on a empanada.
Correct. And it's delicious.
Yeah,
I
it's
really
great.
like that sauce. But then their chimichurri is, so they're really into aging. A lot of the different people I've spoken to have this perspective that a chimichurri should be, like you said, what that Max mentioned,
fermenty.
a little bit fermented. And it should be about the herbs and about garlic.
Dry herbs.
And about dry herbs, right? Not fresh herbs. So it's...
Well, because it's a pain. Like, I could see how that could happen, right? You're not mixing fresh herbs, chopping and mixing fresh herbs in every day. You just like have it and go
Right.
for it, right?
But I like... The reason I love a good... which is not chimichurri, so maybe now is the time we stop calling this sauce chimichurri. Maybe we just call it...
Maybe we brought it to Buenos Aires. Maybe now that is
you imagine?
chimichurri. Maybe Max is going to sneak some of that into his next batch.
We're watching you, Max. We know what you're up to. But anyway, that would be incredible to come back and see that all of a sudden they're doing fresh herb chimichurri. But long story short...
He also had me grill some lemons, which I always do.
You always do, yes.
And I thought that was a nice little,
Yeah, you guys connected on that one?
Yeah. Nice
Exactly.
caramelized
Brothers
grilled
from other
lemon.
mothers,
Yeah.
you know?
That went over the morellas.
Mollejas.
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 That was nice.
So we had a fucking
We
fantastic
also made
dinner.
arugula salad.
Yep.
That was nice, fresh, easy.
The
You went out
arugula
and did some
here-
shopping, and you came back with this little handful of tomatoes.
Yep. I threw
Which
a
I was
couple in there.
surprised about. These like 5 small cherry tomatoes you bought for a party of 8.
Look,
But this is
look.
what happens as a chef when someone else does the shopping for you. There's always a surprise. You got to be able to duck and weave.
Yeah.
You got to be able to
weave and duck and
figure
weave.
it out. Don't get married to your idea when someone else does the shopping for you. You got to be
look,
flexible.
The way I saw it is, look, I could have come. So we went to this cool little organic shop called Bon Plan, market, and when we were in there, we saw that they had, all these cool different wild arugula, which is fucking rad here. There's wild arugula growing everywhere in Argentina.
Yeah, we were just pulling it up off the street. Then we had to go buy it in a store.
Yeah. And so, we were loving all this wild arugula, and then we go to this market and we see that they have arugula, they had zucchini, they had a bunch of different stuff, and they had I don't know, 10 pieces of 10 little cherry tomatoes. And I was like, what's the story with these cherry tomatoes? And she's like, oh, that's the last I had. I pick them from my garden, and I won't have them until next week.
I got it. So
And I
that was all.
like,
You didn't say that the other day. You didn't tell me that was all they had. I was like,
this
came
is
back with
all
this little...
they had,
Okay,
Tony.
that makes a lot
This
more
was
sense.
the end of innocence.
I just
This
put
was-
them on a little saucer right in front of your sitting, so you could just have your tomatoes by yourself.
Well, listen, I was just first.
It's
it was
fine.
a
I'm
sweet
saying.
old lady.
I'm saying. We're just talking the story. You got to be able to duck and weave and just
you
don't
were
get too married
You
to
were
an
in the
idea.
middle of fucking the fire and getting cutting boards out. And do I have?
That's an important element of just trying to pull something together a la minute in a space you're not familiar with. Where these cutting boards are squishy. That's so weird. What do you guys do? And that's those are placemats.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard to work in a place where
You're moving stuff around. You don't have your rhythm.
And let me tell you,
the refrigerator opens the
other way.
Right,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like you don't have any kind of way to move about.
You're
the kitchen.
learning a whole brand new place, right?
You're opening every drawer all the time to look for something because you can't remember where the colander was, or if they have a colander, or is it up here as a desk. So every time you need something, you have to open every drawer.
It's like me when I lose my keys. All of a sudden, I'm opening drawers that I haven't opened in 14 years. I'm like, why the fuck would I have put it here?
Right.
But the thing that's so interesting is, so this shit is real food. There's a lot of incredibly connected to the earth food. And let me explain this one, because if there was one item I wish that we would have had to execute all this stuff, I mean, you already brought the knives, so we were good there. it was a salad spinner.
Right.
Because
Yes.
the arugula and the oregano and the parsley actually came from the earth.
Right.
And there's real pieces of soil and stuff
Sure.
all over everything. And, you know, it's annoying to eat a chimichurri and be chewing on sand.
That's, yeah.
It's the opposite.
It's beyond annoying.
It's beyond the, yeah, it's probably inedible,
Right.
To a degree. But
Plus, we had like one skinny roll of paper towels. So the things you don't even really anticipate running out of, they're
Yeah.
gone, right?
Yeah.
So then you're washed all of these herbs and lettuces, and you can't dry them off, you know? So you're always kind of constantly.
well, right, and so exactly. So, but I think in the end, everybody.
So salad spinner should be on our list for next time.
Yes, salad spinner. I
What
think
else
is
do you think luckily we found a corkscrew.
corkscrew?
The glassware, you guys had to kind of
Yes.
bring that in because it was these very tiny, rugged
shitty
wine glasses you're not going to drink out of.
You know what?
as a
Let me just
professional.
say it. It was like that shitty BYO that puts crab meat on every pasta special in South Philly. We've all been to that place. That was the wine glasses. They were like, you know,
Made to last.
made to last.
Right.
That's a wonderful way to say
And
it.
like a half a pour is like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You're not getting more than 3 ounces in that glass, and when you give it a little bit of an aeration spin, it's all flying out.
Right.
And the goblet on the bottom of the wine glass is probably just as heavy as the cast iron pan
Yeah.
that we also probably should have brought.
Right.
But but let me tell you, the guys. So everyone at the table was loving it. Was
The chimney,
loving
the everything, yeah.
the food, the chimney. And I also, dude, so at the end of this, it was meant to be a sweet joke, but a little bit jokey, because you all know out there how much I love A1.
Yes.
And so,
You're literally traveling with it now.
I just
That's what we remember.
I was being
remember
cheeky.
the A1.
I was being cheeky, but it was really fun. So we were hanging out with food people and wine people, and what was really fucking hysterical to me, dude, was so like the entire table was loving the chimichurri, and Max like, it's really good, but that's like a Provenza sauce, right? That's not chimichurri. He's like, you can tell he's like
We'll see what's on his menu next time.
hard set in his, you know, in his
Which is
customs,
understandable.
which is the way to
it's
be.
like you don't put,
What? You know,
carrots and marinara. You know what I mean? I understand.
you
It
don't
makes
put
sense.
carrots. Right. No.
Right.
Look, I appreciate
It's something different,
and love perspectives on food. It's the way it should be. But so I'm like, how do you like the chimichurri? He's like, well, that's not chimichurri. Like very like plain. Like that's not chimichurri. But I like it. It's good. It's like a good Provenza sauce, right? And I'm like, all right. The entire rest of the table's fucking loving Tony's version of a chimichurri, and the chef is
I
like,
think we share the same vision for the most part.
yeah, for sure. And the chef's like, I don't know. But dude, I pop open this A1 sauce. At the end, I'm like, so guys, as a gift that comes from the other America, I wanted to bring you our version of chimichurri, and I fucking pop open this big ass bottle of A1 sauce. And dude, it was so sweet. They're all just like, whoa, dude, they had never seen such.
Like, where's this from?
A dramatic, big old brown bottle of fucking. And
juice.
They all looked at it like with real reverence and respect, and it was the fucking sweetest thing I ever seen. They crack it gingerly and gently, right? And they're like, oh, we need to mix it. So they re-put it together. They give it a shake. And then each of them takes like 2 ounces, not 2 ounces, like a teaspoon. And they all put it on their plate, and they're all trying it. And they're all like, this is nice, good acidity. And I'm like,
You brought A1
number
to-
one.
right.
Number one.
This is our import-export business.
I felt incredibly validated.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's fucking good, isn't it? And they're all like, we love it. We love it. Can you bring more next time? And I'm like, hell yeah, I can bring more. I can 100% be your-
Importing 5 cases right now.
Yeah, exactly.
The markup is.
And 2, dude, then Max, the chef, was like, this is fantastic.
Cool. I missed that part of the conversation.
And dude,
You did it.
It was just the validation I needed for another 6 months of fucking pumping up the beauty that is A1 sauce. All it did was stoke the fire.
Are you going to start traveling with it on the regular now? Is that going to be your thing?
I think I should. Yeah. I thought, listen, there's such a stigma with that sauce that I thought I was going to pull it out.
I think you're inventing the stigma. I'm not sure what the stigma is.
Listen, man, you're not a typical chef.
You just don't see it as a...
But the chefies out there, those motherfuckers, the elitists that look at me, look down on me like the peasant that I am, anytime I pull out a little bit of A1 sauce, they're all like, who fucking taught you how to eat
They're trying to make their own, but you can't use A1, but you can use the one that they make.
That they make, right.
That they try to mimic.
The one that we added whole mustard seed to that just tastes like fucking, come on. Or when they're trying to make the Peter Luger sauce, which to me, there's no comparison. A1 is way better than Peter Luger.
Yeah, we know your feelings about A1.
New York.
We understand.
All right,
everyone
Jeff
gets it.
Fader, all right. I know where this is going. Phillies are going to win anyway. So I just want to finish by saying you fucking rocked last night, Tony.
Oh, thank you so much.
You made me proud.
And I have to say, everyone was super impressed with your skills blind tasting, too.
That's sick.
They were like, wow.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Because I was going to have to find a new partner, I feel like, for the show.
Know,
if you did terribly dude, at that, it's kind of like, dude, you're out.
Dude,
sorry.
So when I started chopping the onion, Rigo and Johan were like zooming in, and I don't have fucking technique. I'm just like I'm a by taste, and I can cook pretty well, but I don't have technique. And bro, you're gonna be very embarrassed by a couple of the
cuts,
the onion cuts that I tried to do. I just want to apologize now, not only to you, but to Jeff Fader and the entire restaurant world, the industry. I really fucked up.
What?
And, well, I didn't cut myself. It's just that, when you try to be too delicate and, get through I was doing the slices to, do a really nice dice, but I was trying to I got a little nervous, and, I don't often cut shit anymore because I'm traveling so much. And I went all the way through.
Oh, yeah.
I did one of those.
You kind of got to leave a little bit more of the root on the onion. That was the issue, because that'll help hold it together, provide it some structure, and gives you a little bit more.
So cutting the tips off of is not the way to go.
You cut the one tip, but you leave a little bit more of that on because you don't have to use that, right? So that helps anchor it in a way.
Thank you. See, the things you learn. You got to keep on learning every day.
Right.
So thank you for joining us on an incredibly...
I'm glad Argentina is back in your mind. I'm glad.
Number one, we're back because we finally worked service again last night, and that felt good.
It did.
Right? Overseasoned is back because, we're in Argentina, bro.
Right
Thank
on.
you, Shoebox.
Thank
you, Over Easy Office, for making this all possible. We're going to do our best to make you proud. But in Argentina, we can't wait to come back. And if there's another place we need to go visit, please let me know. We got a lot to eat.
We're down to bring HP sauce. I'm sorry. HP sauce. We're down to bring A1 to your neighborhood too. So
yes.
Drop us a line, let us know.
Yes.
Thank you.